Good afternoon, Tom Ginn. Own your own health. We're going to be right back. Tom Ginn here, Own Your Own Health. Today, I'm really excited to bring in somebody who's very significant in the business community. And people are probably going to say, well, this person, why are we going to be bringing a business person in to talk about health? But I started this program about 9 months ago. My wife and I, we own a wellness center here in our community. And I've been exposed to a holistic approach to health for a long time. But myself, I have some health challenges, nothing really chronic other than some arthritic knees. But I wanted to get the word out that we live in a culture where chronic illnesses are out of control. And a lot of our chronic illnesses can be mitigated or avoided by understanding better lifestyles, a holistic approach to health. We've been conditioned with our Western medicine, and I call it crisis health. If I break an arm, get in an accident, I'm glad we have the best system out there. But a lot of things that are going on in our lives today can be avoided through awareness and knowledge. And when we say a holistic, we're talking about lifestyle. And so when I bring guests in, we just want to bring a level of awareness to take ownership of your own health. And a colleague of mine, she's a pharmacist. She says chronic illness is a choice. A lot of people don't realize that it's lifestyle. And we want you to have better choices moving forward. So today, I'm going to be introducing somebody that I've associated with in my business community. Haven't had a real opportunity to dialogue with him until today, but he's going to bring some value. And what I really like everybody to do is start tagging and sharing people there. But in the meantime, I'm bringing in Scott Schilling. Scott, welcome to Own Your Own Health.
Thanks, Tom. Really excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you as well. Before we get into talking about own your own health in relationship to business and what is that really going to be about, we're just going to have some conversation from experience and your background and what you've seen, what I've experienced in that area. But I always like to start out with this. I'm a personal development coach, and one of my strongest principles I build my day-to-day off of is gratitude. Scott, we're going to start with that. What are you grateful for today?
Well, quite frankly, I'm grateful for my physical therapists in our session this morning because they are bringing me back to being able to do things that I haven't been able to do in a number of years. I had a couple of hips replaced, and we are systematically working through some things, and it's truly a rebirth. It's a true understanding that there's now technology and there's now possibility to change out a body part. Now, I wouldn't suggest it for anybody, but it does exist. And the good news is that the body is an absolutely amazing thing. In fact, the only thing that heals the body is the body. And when we get it moving again and doing the right things, it's amazing what you can do. I'm doing things that I haven't done in years. And I'm so grateful for my surgeon's expertise, for their expertise. And that, quite frankly, I can do stuff around the house. It makes my wife happy.
Here comes the honey-do list, right?
That's right.
No excuses now.
Thought I was out of that for a while.
When did you have your surgery, Scott?
I had my right hip on June 14th and my left hip on September 6th.
Wow. That's a significant commitment for rehab and that. I've known people that have had it. So, so hopefully today, besides, talking about, thank God we do have, like
Yep.
you said, um, some of the best crisis intervention medicine and surgery. And I'm not downplaying anything regarding
Nope.
pharmaceuticals, but when you need it, they're there, they're targeted, they work. But unfortunately, most people don't have a healthcare protocol. We don't have a healthcare system. That's where we own it. And I always like to open this a little bit, and then we'll get into your why here. This is part of what I'm all about, is that there's a lot of modalities and technologies that have been buried for political reasons, economic reasons, and that people say, oh, not true. Well, I would encourage anybody that's out there to get this book, The Politics and Healing. And this book is just on one chronic illness that most people don't want to address, and it starts with the big C. Yep. And the technologies that have been buried, that have been safe, they've been proven, but it doesn't support an entity bigger than you and I. And I encourage people to start questioning those things, be involved. And if you doubt what I'm saying, this is all facts, documentation of how the industry has squashed things that can make a big difference in people's health. And so I'm an advocate in many areas, but when it comes to this, take ownership. So, Scott, I'd like to share with it a little bit about your background. Through our business networks and the communities we associate with, I just got a snippet of it. And we met here a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned something, you were involved in the health industry. So we'll get to that in a moment. But share with people your background and your experience in business. And then we'll sort of go into how do we take care of ourselves as business leaders.
Well, thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. I was very fortunate. My dad worked for the same company for 46 years. And so that's the model I saw. So I went to college, got a Bachelor of Business Administration degree, double major, marketing and insurance, and I went to work and had a 13 and a half year corporate career. And I know you'll find this hard to believe. Corporate America changed. And they changed in a way that I didn't necessarily agree with. And so they had every right to ask me to do certain things, and I had every right to say no. I just couldn't say no and still work there. So I went out on my own and utilized the great training I had and the knowledge I had to consult. I got absorbed by a company, became their executive vice president, helped grow that and pioneer it. And then we did what our plan was with that. And I went back out again and back and forth and back and forth, consulting, being absorbed. And about, I was 8 years into a 5-year plan with one of the companies. And we were going to take it public 3 years earlier, and I was going to be a gazillionaire and be able to do whatever I wanted to do. And it was 3 years later and we still weren't. And so I said, what I really want to do is I want to serve more people. And I believed with the knowledge I had gained over time, the experience I gained over time. And I was always a sales trainer, so I was always in front of rooms. So that wasn't any big deal. I wanted to serve more people. And I thought I could do that by speaking professionally. So I went into the speaking business. And my first 2 paid events were in the alternative health industry. They were at a chiropractic convention up in Toronto. And the fact is that I was just standard Joe American guy that believed we had a healthcare system, that I came to find out we actually had a sick care system.
Yeah.
And that there were other alternatives. And I believe to this day, the only thing that heals the body is the body.
Exactly.
It's a fact. And that if our body is not performing properly, it's because of things we do to it or don't do to it. And so if you put the right things in the body, if you do the right things with the body is an amazing machine. It'll do all the right things. You just you got to help it along every once in a while. And if you're feeling some kind of dis-ease, unfortunately it turns to disease, and it's probably because of physical, chemical, or emotional stress, and a combination of one or all three. So the fact is, I really honor you for what you're doing here with this show, is helping people understand they've got far more control than they really probably know, or that people are wanting to tell them. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
I just want to say something, Scott, because we're just, we didn't have a real topic. We just want to banter back and forth a little bit about this, being business people. And we know this, if anybody takes the time to look at that, the number one cause of chronic illnesses is stress. Mm-hmm. And stress, the number one cause of stress in our culture is money. And when we're in business for ourselves, we're entrepreneurs, we're responsible for everything that happens. So we increase our level of stress, which then can perpetuate other things that show up years later. Most people don't realize any disease is in the making for 6 to 8 years before it manifests. And then we respond and react and say, let's get something to take care of the symptom. And so that's because we're focused on entrepreneurs. We know we should exercise, but I got early appointments. I got to hit the road. I'll get to it this afternoon. And so that you should be exercising and you should be doing certain things. I know I should maybe make something for lunch instead of eating out at the McDonald's, or we know all this. And before we know it, we're diseased. We're in that state, but stress is the number one. And I believe when people understand how to take control of stress, they can really change their health in a very significant way. Any comments there?
Oh, absolutely. Again, it's physical, chemical, or emotional stress. Well, what's physical stress? Physical stress could be a lot of things in this day and age. What's emotional stress? Oh my God, we just went through an election. There's emotional stress on both sides. And physical, chemical, and emotional. Chemical, do you drive a car? Do you breathe the air? Do you do the different things? The fact is, we're all, we're in an amalgamation of all the different things that we walk through and we do on a daily basis. And you're right. If money is flowing, money doesn't, the old adage, money doesn't make you happy. It can make you happier. It can make it a lot easier when you have it and when you don't have it. And so that's why we're going through such stressful times. The other side of it is, let's be realistic. We just went through a time where people were locked down, and myself included. I was throwing holistic possibilities at my hips. I was doing the things that I could to try to nurture cartilage to grow and nurture bone density to be strong and all those kinds of things. And unfortunately, I threw those things at it too late. And then sitting behind a desk, because we went from being up and physically meeting people and talking to people to all of a sudden sitting behind a desk and doing it through video. Now, it was a great opportunity for your business, but I don't know that I've ever sat behind a desk for so many hours for so many years. And all of a sudden, novel concept, my hips didn't work anymore. And there was nothing left for them to work. And so the result becomes replacement. Now, again, I am phenomenally blessed that they were able to do that. But I would encourage anybody, don't do that. You don't have to. The body's designed to last a really long time if you do a good job of taking care of it. And the vast majority, myself included, I don't take care of it as well as I should consistently enough, which on one side is why I'm really excited about the fact that I've had the replacement, because now I have to do the recovery which has now got me encouraged because I see the progress, which says, hey, the sky's the limit.
You mentioned that, our body has the innate ability. It's designed to heal itself. I mean, we scrape ourselves, it's healing immediately. That's what coagulation, the cells start knitting together. Even mental and cognitive damage that we may have, if given the right resources, can the body, given the right resources, the right tools, can heal itself. Like we call it the inner doctor. I'm associated with a lot of different doctors and health practitioners and scientists and those type of things. And it's just through awareness we take our health for granted, right?
Well, there's no doubt about it. But there's also plenty of proof that you can, to a certain extent, think yourself healthy. You can become nutrient dense and take yourself to health. There are great natural holistic solutions available that you could consume because again, the only thing that heals the body is the body. And so if you put the right nutrients and the right things in the body to support its process, it will do that. The other thing, I don't even know that but in December 14th of 2014, I had a full-blown cerebellar stroke. Cerebellum's responsible for speech, memory, fine motor skills, walking, talking, vertigo. By the grace of God, I come out like this. Now, I spent days in intensive care where doctors were saying, we don't understand why you're alive. To the point where it aggravated me so much, I said at one point, sorry to disappoint you, I've always been an overachiever. I lived. And their solution was to throw I was on no prescription medication at the time. They threw, all of a sudden I was on 7 things. And to my objection, but they didn't care about my objection at the time. And 93 days later, I missed my exit to my house that I lived in for 30 years, 3 days in a row. And I went, this is crazy. I had this brain fog that was just crazy. And I did some research on some of the things. And of course, the number one side effect for this one statin was mind fog, memory loss, cloudiness. I'm a professional speaker, for goodness sake. I can't forget what city I'm in when I'm on stage. And basically I got off all except for one of them immediately. And they said, this isn't going to be good for you. I said, well, missing my house isn't good for me either. What we don't understand, and again, there are places for prescription stuff, but there's not, unfortunately, too many people have been convinced that if you take a pill, something goes away. And the fact is, the only thing that goes away is a masking of the symptom. And in reality, what goes away is your ability to not take that pill for an extended period of time and then take the next one to now take care of the side effects caused by the first one. And all of a sudden you're into a cascading situation and your body deteriorates because you're not giving it things to allow it to heal.
Exactly.
You're giving it things to mask the symptoms. The problem is still there. Unfortunately, then it turns into disease. Now you got a problem.
Scott, we're talking symptoms and this and that. We want to do a disclaimer here. We're not promoting that we have answers because the company I'm associated with is a biotech company and it decided to take its technology through the nutritional. We have to do some statements here just for my compliance with the companies
totally
I
agree.
represent.
Totally
the
agree.
Statements are not been to be evaluated by the Drug and Food Administration. Any products or any things that we might talk about and not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So now I'm in compliance with the Federal Trade Commission, the FDA, and my company. So I just want to make sure that we're not doctors. We're talking from experience, awareness, and we encourage people to. I believe the most powerful thing in anything that we do in life, you want to change your circumstances, start asking questions.
Yeah. Well, it's about the knowledge. I didn't know this stuff until I knew this stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't question this stuff because you tend to do what people say to do.
Exactly.
Now, we just came through a pandemic, and because of some of my holistic friends back at the end of 2019, when all this silliness started to happen, they said, hey, you know what? If you just take significant amounts of zinc and vitamin C and D3, just vitamins, just take a fair amount of them. You're going to strengthen your body to be able to ward things off. Novel concept. Have not fortunately had any of the issues that so many people had.
Yeah.
So again, there are, and I'm totally with you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not whatever. What I am is an informed patient.
Exactly.
I'm an informed person that I don't just believe what somebody dictates or says.
Yeah. That sort of leads there because being informed. So where did I get the information? Somebody recommends an adjunct therapy or take more vitamin D or whatever. Where do people go to Google immediately? And it's not a research. It's just so we can tell people if you're looking at an adjunct therapy, a product, service, or whatever, there's a lot of woo-woo stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff that's not backed by science, but we're trusting people to do X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
But I encourage people to know where to get the right information so you can make the right decisions, or anything that you can do around your health, anything you're going to digest. And that's critical. What you put on your skin could be toxic, and all those things. And I recommend people to go to PubMed. My mind just went blank on that. PubMed.gov. I can put that up there. That's the number one research. Somebody said, I recommend you do this. You can go there, do a search, and you'll find information out. Is yes or no? It does what they're saying. You want validation, scientific validation. You don't need to be a biochemist or anything like that. But you know what? There's 1.2 million studies around this, and it supports what they say. Maybe I should exercise. Oh, if you do this and the negatives come, now you're informed, you can make those decisions.
Right.
The other place to go is scholar.google.com. That's you put in whatever it is. These are resources that are validated research, not something that's up on Google, because a lot of your competitors in business will put something negative to persuade you not to go that route, whether it be the health industry. You need to know where the information comes from. Is it validated? Is it backed by science? There's research around it. So that's always my advice, is that know where to go to get the right information. Don't take the information from your cousin that doesn't have the background. He says, well, this is what I found out about XYZ. How'd you find out about it? Well, I Googled it. Wrong.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you that because I was blessed to speak in the holistic disciplines since 2003, I have been exposed to people who have gone to far more school and on the health and medical side. And again, I listen, I ask questions. What you said earlier was genius. Learn to ask better questions, because if you ask better questions and you understand how things work in combination inside the body, you'll have a greater opportunity to have a greater life experience using that body. I mean, my guess, one of the things when I do a health talk of some sort, by a show of hands, how many of you plan on staying in your body the rest of your life? Well, if you are, why are you treating it the way you are? So,
our greatest asset is our health. We
yeah,
will do more things to protect what's in our stock portfolio and our bank account and
yeah,
our home. We'll make those investments. They're important, but we don't make the investment in our health. And I come from I'm a financial planner, and help people better understand how to win with money on a real fundamental. I think you start with fundamentals first,
hmm,
and then you build from there through your knowledge and see some progress. But ask, like you said, is asking questions. Just be
hmm.
informed. And stress, we talked about that. But here's another thing: is knowing our health as our greatest asset. I was going to go back to what I wanted to say. So I'm ADHD. Got to be over there in 2 seconds. So, but making investments in proactive lifestyles, and that incorporates things that we know we should do. That's become aware of what exercise really is. Make an investment in activity that keeps you healthy. It doesn't mean you have to go out and train like an Olympic athlete, but why is it so important to get out and walk? Why to have, I can relate when COVID hit, sitting in this doggone chair. Some days I'm spending here 2 hours, I can't even get out of my chair. My muscles are all, I'm going, I got to get up and move. So we understanding making investments, whether it's dollar investments or time investments, are going to pay dividends beyond. And I remember this one study that shows for every dollar that you spend in lifestyle, and that can include your exercise, may join in the gym, your nutritional, having good nutritional protocol, the food that we eat, having good organic food, micronutrients, all the other things that we can incorporate in health, good sleep, good hydration, exercise protocol. For every dollar you spend in there, let's say you're investing $1,000 a year in supplementation and holistic, you're increasing some costs, you're making some investments. For every year you do that, you're putting off 50 grand of potential cost because of chronic illness. And what that potential risk could be. It could wipe somebody out financially just like that. So it's an investment, like save for the future, plan for the future. You should take part of your income and start investing in yourself and the health wise, because if you haven't got health, your quality of life, and it's not only your life that's it's affected. Look at how it impacted your wife. That's how, when people get chronic illness, it goes beyond just how it's affecting you. It's going to affect your caregivers, your loved ones. Do we need to expose that risk to our loved ones?
No, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You don't realize, when you have a slow deterioration, you don't realize all the things that you were no longer able to do. And as weird as it sounds, I, did some household repair this weekend and actually enjoyed it. And I didn't enjoy it because I enjoy it. I enjoyed it because I could do it again.
Yes.
And I could, and my wife was, thank you so much for doing it. I mean, what you don't realize is if you start to lose mobility and you start to lose those different things, I mean, nobody would want it purposely, but when you've experienced one thing and then you experience a different thing, it's like when I came out of my stroke, I wrote my latest book after that because most people don't come out the way I came out. And I'm phenomenally blessed that I did. But I can also put myself in the place of people who didn't come out that way. And, I empathize with them. I honor them on their journey to get back to as full a life as I got a buddy who, I mean, gosh, he's probably 20 years younger than I am. And has now for the last 4 years been battling getting back to a point where he can just do things that you and I think are so everyday and so not important. But to him, they're unbelievable. And I'm so proud of him. I didn't have that same experience. I was so fortunate. So again, I would encourage, it's one of those things where sometimes it takes life experience to make the change and understand, or hearing something on a show like yours that, that somebody makes the change and says, my God, maybe these guys are right. Maybe I could do a little bit more. Again, nobody's saying completely change everything. Just become more aware of what's going on in your world. I know I've had multiple situations that have allowed me to do that, and I'm on a better path again.
And unfortunately, many times we make those decisions when we hit a rock bottom. We oh my gosh, this is not acceptable. What can I do? And thank God we do have some of the things, the surgery and that, but those are out there. Start planning not to have that situation happen. A lot of people say, well, gee, it just comes with age. Not true. Illness doesn't come with age. Illness or chronic conditions come with lifestyle, by decision. Chronic illness is a decision you've made. And people say, no, my family has genetic. There's some truth about genetic disposition. But guess what science says? 90% of it can be prevented no matter what the genetic disposition is. If you're aware of it, why not take proactive things to push those things down the road?
Well, here's a business equation that will help with that.
Yeah.
Growth equals awareness plus inspired action. So the reality is, if you learn some new awareness, hopefully you're learning a little bit here with us today, or whatever research you do after the fact, then you have to take inspired action toward it. And once you do that, that's when you can truly grow. Now, that's exactly what you do from the business world as well. So it's amazing how business principles cross over into personal life, and personal principles cross over into business life.
Great point. I believe the universe operates, I believe, under law. We got physical law. We got biochemistry law. Those things always work under the same. They're non-man-made. We also operate in what I call the spiritual realm. It operates by law. Our thinking operates by law. You get X, Y, Z out of the formula reversed, you get a different result. So it's mindset. Is about your health. People talk about their mindset, and you got to have a vision, purpose, goals, plans, and all this stuff to get a result. Why not apply the same philosophy and mindset to your life? And we don't think about it as business people. We're out striving to conquer the world and go after that, whatever that is for you. But I want to say mindset, how important it is. People think sick or talk sick, they become sick. And science has done this, is understanding. They've done this by research. Person has a chronic condition and they have a negative disposition. And they can look at the cellular activity, that the cell the biochemistry is destroying the cell, which is causing the chronic illness. No matter what it is. That same person, they change their disposition. They think positively. They think healthy. People, sometimes we hear the miracles. The person had a positive disposition. How did that happen? You have a positive disposition. I believe that's probably why you came through the stroke at a subconscious level. Your self-talk created that biochemistry to do what it's supposed to do. So our self-talk is, I believe, a prescription we should take daily. Just like we take water, like we breathe air, why we take food, all those things. So it's really important that our mental determines what happens to us in the future. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, I could have been, and that's why I say when I was in intensive care and the doctors kept on saying, we don't understand why you're alive. It finally frustrated me to the point where I said, sorry to disappoint you. I've always been an overachiever. I lived.
Yeah.
And they kind of laughed and went whatever. And they go, we just don't understand what's going on here. And I said, I got it all figured out. And they go, okay, smart butt, what is it? I said, it's obvious. It's God's grace, mercy, and favor on my life.
Yeah.
I said, I've got things to do yet. So I need a warning shot across the bow? Evidently I did. Maybe I wasn't listening as well as I should. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in my world. But you got my attention. I get it. And it hasn't, I'm not suggesting everything has been easy through the entire process. But the point is, if you go, I can make measurable progress today. And that's really what it comes down to. Measurable progress in a definable time. Are you getting better? Are you moving toward it? If you've got too much weight, on your body, been there, done it, kind of working on it now, working to get out of it, but it doesn't all disappear overnight. But don't expect it to disappear overnight. Just be consistent with it. Again, measurable progress in a definable time. And so just keep on, but that same principle is what you do in business, is you're working to grow your business a measurable amount in a definable time. The same rules apply to you and your body and what you're doing. Wherever you are today is absolutely perfect. And there are going to be people that hear that and go, is this guy nuts? No, what I mean is it's where you are today. So you might as well claim it as perfect and then go, but it can get better from here.
Yeah. That mindset, the principles, life, we operate by law. And when we're not operating out of law, and I call law non-man-made.
Yeah.
Okay. That, physical law, gravity, biochemistry, change in a molecule, you always get the same result. Same thing with our thinking. It gets out of alignment. You change your thinking, you get a different result, and you consistently do that. Everything operates by law. It doesn't happen by happenstance.
No,
and that's
I
where a
agree.
lot of people say, it is what it is. And I'm just guess I'll take whatever that is when it comes. And I guess what you've done? You just opened the door for a crash and burn, whether it be health wise or whatever. So
yeah, the reality is that we all have it's all about decision. The word decision itself comes from the Latin decidere, to cut off. We have to cut off one path in favor of another. We have to make a decision. And there was no, the pain, like with the hip replacements, the pain was so chronic and so bad, I didn't even know how much pain I was in. My body the body's an amazing thing. It actually compensated for a lot of it. But like 3 weeks after I got my first hip done, I had a friend call and say, welcome back. I said, welcome back? What are you talking about? I said, you haven't been you for the last 3 years. What? Well, we just knew you were in that much pain. We didn't bother you to tell you. I said, why would you do that? But all of a sudden, disposition, like you say, cheery disposition, or having more fun, or being a goof, or not being so serious. Or if somebody didn't make a call, it was like, oh, they didn't make the call. As opposed to trying to write 14 emails to go, why didn't you make the call? We have far more control than we want to admit. But it takes making a decision here and there to do it. Once the hips were there, and I'm doing physical therapy to improve flexibility and movement and all those kinds of things, what you find is, it's not the most fun thing in the world, but it's fun when it's done, and it's fun when you see the progress and you go, gosh, I can live again. I can do this again.
Doing
You
that
know,
honeydew list, the thing you didn't really enjoy doing, but the fact that you could do it again,
yeah, exactly.
you know, that's so important. I would encourage people out there, no matter where you are, you're a young person that is considered themselves healthy and vibrant. Start looking what you could be doing today, because in 10 years from now, you're not going to have what you think you're going to have, but you can have what you have today if you plan for it.
Yeah.
And if you understand some basic things about, you don't have to be a doctor or a biochemist, but if you understand these, I call them 7 principles, the importance of hydration, that in itself changes, because our cells are water and the cells operate on saline. If you're properly hydrated, the cells can do whatever you're taking and doing and work more efficiently. Number one, more hydration. Well, I don't want to pee it all the time, right? Learn how to drink water. You don't drink 32 ounces at one time. Yeah, you're going to be in that can into it. You take the 32 ounces or 64 ounces over the day, sipping it through the day. You're hydrated. You're healthy. Your body knows what to do. Number 2, sleep. Are you getting the appropriate amount of sleep? I know, being an entrepreneur, I get up, man. I got my routine. I got that, but I sometimes in the past wasn't getting appropriate sleep, because sleep is where your body repairs and heals itself. Whether you've gone through surgery, whether you've worked out, day to day, we're damaging, our body is breaking down. We're cells are dying off, and we need to replace them. It's only at sleep do we have the opportunity for the body to do what it can do best at a very specific area in REM. That's where the healing goes. Number 2, know what you're eating. We look at chronic illness today, and as we look at the environment that we've been, more chemicals in our life, our processed food, and as you look at that graph, processed food, we don't have nutrients in our food, we're lacking, and guess what's happened? Chronic illness has been exactly, and it's starting young. Diabetes I got some people that study diabetes. It's coming earlier. Kids are getting it earlier. And it's because of we're not aware of what we intake and aware of all that. And then that's then the macronutrients you need, the minerals, and you talk about vitamin D and things that our food doesn't. We need macronutrients. Then exercise. Where does that come in? It's huge. Let's see the others: exercise, sleep, water, and then understanding some biochemistry. How does your body work? You don't need to be a biochemist. Yeah. And what I teach in the product I would take to the market is understanding the principles that has 6 Nobels behind it, redox signaling molecules. It's the essence of our cellular life. And if we don't have redox signaling molecules, none of the others matter. So how do you through being awareness, how do I take care of that piece? So there's 7 basic foundations. If we just understand enough, start applying those things, and guess what? It's like anything else. Exercise, oh gosh. But I tell you what, when you take care of yourself, that exercise, no one likes to sweat, and no one likes to be sore afterwards. But what's the long-term benefit, right? I mean, that's the key in business or in health. So I just took over there, but anything you'd like to say?
Well, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Sometimes the good news is we get to do a reset from time to time. We get to look at where we are, and whatever is the determining factor as to why you do it, it's worth doing. And you start to, anything can be modified along the way. Yes. You can, and I think what many people would be surprised, and again, there's no preaching going on here. Trust me, I was 27 pounds at 1 year old. I was, or 27 pounds at 6 months old, 41 pounds at 1 year old. No, I wasn't fed with a slingshot. I just I liked food. But the reality is I've had weight issues going on. I like food, but there are times where I like it too much, and then I don't do as much exercise or things around it, and so extra gets stored. Why? It's called math. If you take in more calories than you burn off, they stay around. They don't just disappear. It's not a net sum game. So the point is, any and all of that stuff can be, can be modified. And I think the biggest thing is, there are ways to do it better. They're through either having a coach or at least an accountability partner, somebody you can talk to about it. There are just be open to the possibilities of things that you may or may not have heard of to this point that are actually good for you, that can actually do you some good.
Yeah.
Don't be so shut off that this is the only way. Since 1943, I mean, the soil nutrients have been obliterated, which is why we have so many GMO products and different things. Well, GMO, genetically modified organisms they're not good for you.
The gut doesn't know what to do with it. It doesn't know what to do with it. You got to. I'm a big anti-GMO.
Yeah,
know what you're eating, because it's like taking a arsenic pill, a little bit at a time, and GMOs are creating more. Hope Facebook doesn't shut me down. But if you do any research on it out there, GMOs, get away from them. Know what you're eating. Look at your process. Everything processed is GMO food based.
Yeah, and again, I'm not trying to make any claims. This is just called reading information and learning, and knowing how your body feels when you eat certain foods that are. I mean, it's an over dramatization, but it's like you're eating cardboard. There's no nutritional value in it. It's fiber. Oh boy, so is cardboard, but it doesn't do you any good. It doesn't taste good and doesn't do you any good. So why do it?
Yeah, so it leads, we're talking about this is when you hear something that's too good to be true, somebody says, hey, there's a scientific breakthrough, or this is the history of this. It sounds too good to be true. It's okay to be skeptical, because skepticism, you should take skepticism. Maybe I should take a look. Where does my viewpoint come from?
Yeah.
I think skepticism is good. Where skepticism, it interferes in business or our health, just don't be cynical.
Yes.
Cynical is a rat hole to crashing and burning in life. Being cynical.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Open-minded doesn't mean you accept everything. It means you're willing to explore.
Yeah, evaluate.
And then make an informed decision based on the relevancy to whether it be in a business. I mean, that's what you got to do in business, right?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, you're always, one of the concepts I teach is dare to dream. And dream is an acronym for decide on your future, decide where you want to go, restructure your activities consistent with that point, execute the plan that you've established, analyze the results of that plan, modify the plan, and take action again. Dare to dream. The fact is, you're going to be off course far more than you're ever on course in life. It's not about being off course. It's being about off course less often. So the reality is that with any of this stuff, you find something that you like to eat and you eat it, and all of a sudden you gain weight and you go, well, I like the taste. I didn't like the result. Okay, so maybe you have to go back and modify again. Okay, you liked it for a period of time. Again, just having a healthier regime, the getting moving again and going to physical therapy 3 days a week has got me, it's got me sore afterwards, but it's got me invigorated to want to do it again. And so sometimes you need that little push or whatever it is to do it. And what we tend to do is we tend to get less active and more set in our ways and all those kinds of things. Why don't we have childlike wonder and want to explore a little more and say, I'll critically evaluate whether this product or that whatever it is, does me some good. Give it the appropriate amount of time to create some kind of positive reaction. Sometimes it takes time for things to work, but you give it the appropriate time. You can be skeptical. I agree with you. Just don't be cynical. Don't shut down that people are trying to help you, because the reality is good people will help good people. That's why they're good people. So allow them to be.
Well, I tell you what, this is, a business guy talking about health and how important it is. You just, before, just a moment ago, you mentioned, why don't we take the same strategies that we put into our business, into our health? Work the plan.
Exactly.
Work the plan, modify, and change as conditions change. In business, you got to adapt. You got to be right. Same thing with our health. New technology. How can I adapt to the new technology? Whatever it is, it would be a better nutritional or a better widget that's out there for health, or whatever the case may be, or a practitioner's making a recommendation with some sort of energy device and all these things, and it's validated by science. Adapt, and you'll change your results. We didn't get sick overnight, and we don't expect to get well overnight either. So
no, not. I mean, their success leaves clues. So does junk. I mean, there's way too much cancer on this planet. It comes from somewhere. Now, various kinds are led to various sources.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not rocket science at some point. The body is designed for fight, flight, or freeze. So all of a sudden stress comes up, your body, adrenaline gets kicked in, cortisol gets kicked in, all these things which are designed to serve you
in the moment.
But if you stay as a cortisol factory, you're going to gain weight. Why? It's because what that hormone does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not rocket science. It's a proven entity. And so, well, how could I do that? Well, you could reduce your stress. You reduce your stress, you're going to lose weight. You put better nutrients in, you're going to lose weight. The body is designed to be at equilibrium, perfect height and weight. And if it's not at equilibrium, it's because of physical, chemical, emotional stress, what we're doing to it. And the body is just reacting the way it's supposed to. You don't like the result, but it's ultimately doing what it's designed to do to protect you. And so you're making it protect yourself. Stop it. You're causing it.
Yeah, it goes back.
I'm talking to me as much as anybody else here. So
right, yeah, because you just mentioned it again. Everything operates by law, and just understand the law of life. Our health, and people that I always look at people that they're successful and replicate and do what they do. Right, from the mindset to all the processes. Right, same thing with health. Look at the people that are healthy. Ask them what they're doing.
Yeah.
Some will say, well, I could eat anything and I don't gain a weight. Well, there's some genetic disposition there and DNA factors, but ultimately doesn't mean they're healthy.
No, true.
Doesn't mean they're healthy. I hear it all the time. I'm healthy. Yeah, but I'm taking 500 milligrams a day of ibuprofen or whatever, right? But anyway, Scott, I just really appreciate our conversation. I didn't know where we would go with this. When you mentioned you come from that arena and you offered to come on, I appreciate it much. And you like to leave a closing message about being a business person and taking care of health. What would you recap what we just talked about or something?
Well, I'll say it this way. Everybody tends to look at, in business, you tend to look at your financial, your revenues coming in and all these different key performance indicators, KPIs, right? You've got this whole list of KPIs, but revenue coming in, new clients created, all those things don't work if you're flat on your butt in a bed because you're sick.
Yeah.
Truly, your greatest business asset is your health and you.
Yeah.
And I've been knocked down a couple times to recognize that myself. Hey, what did I do? Of course, once I got healthier, I got busy like crazy and had to get taught the same lesson again. Don't learn the same lesson over and over again.
Definitely.
Understand
With that, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Exactly.
It
So
works with our health as well.
no, my encouragement, if you want to have an amazing business, be healthy. You'll have a whole lot more energy to do a lot more stuff, and you'll enjoy it a lot more.
All right. Well, Scott, I didn't know how this would play out. It met all my expectations, just knowing who you are, and didn't know you were associated with the health industry until you planted the seed. You said, "Hey, I'll come on,"
Sure.
and I'm glad you're here. Thank you much. There's
my pleasure.
That
it's an honor. Thank you for the opportunity.
Right, I'm going to put you in the green room and eat some of those carrot sticks you asked for. Okay, bud?
That's right. Awesome.
Everybody else gets M&Ms. I give carrot sticks.
That's perfect.
All right. Own your own health. There's a perspective from a business person that and had his challenges, and he, coming back from a stroke and didn't have the symptoms that the quote the health profession said they couldn't understand it. I think what he did, his disposition was part of the cure. Having the right mindset. Talked about some of the other things that we do. So own your health is all about you taking control, you making decisions, be informed, ask the right questions. That's the same thing in business. Ask more questions, ask the right questions, and then implement what you learn to get you to different results, whether it be in business or whether it be your health. And in closing, like Scott says, you can go out and have a ton of money, and if you don't have a quality of life to enjoy it, what difference does it make? You can't keep up with your grandkids. The vision that you really wanted for yourself is wiped out because you're bedridden or you have health conditions that won't allow you to do what you envision doing in life. So take control of that. It goes back to your vision. How do you see yourself in the future with your health? With that all said, we're going to sign out.